asoko desu. That works. Oh, forgot to come on up while I'm reading other ones. それは何ですか? これは傘です. Works. この時計はいくらですか? その時計は3500円です. Excellent. Okay, I'm a little confused by this one. We'll come back to it. それは何ですか? これは本です. Works. あれは何ですか? 自転車です. Okay, since we're practicing the kore sore are, what would you put here if you were going to put it? Are again. Okay, so just so you know. Okay, whoever wrote their ka here, try to bring it down a little bit more so it looks like a ka. Okay. Okay, we'll go back to Brian's real quick. What's missing in here? Yeah, 郵便局はどこですか? ここです. Excellent. Somebody was standing right in front of it and couldn't tell that it was a郵便局. Works. That's actually possible. So, you know, when you're in a different country and the buildings look different from what you're expecting, sometimes you have no idea that you're staring right at it. Especially when it's only labeled in kanji. Okay, so this was the one I was confused by.
Yeah, I wanted to ask which book is it, and I wanted to answer this one.
Okay, that would be Dono hon desu ka?
Oh.
Kono hon desu. Okay. So which book is it? Did we talk yesterday about how you can tell which one connects directly to a noun versus which one requires a wa?
Yeah.
Well, we talked a little bit about it. Let's review. So, who remembers what function no serves when it's a particle?
Possession.
A possession. What kinds of things does it connect normally? What goes on this side of it? What goes on this side of it? Okay. What kind of word? What part of speech?
A
Noun, yeah. A noun here and another noun there, right? So, for example, daigaku no sensei or watashi no hon, right? No connects nouns. Make sense?
Yes.
What's it connecting to here? A noun. And what is dono and kono and sono and ano and all of these? They're basically pronouns, right? So you're actually connecting to another noun. Pronouns take the place of nouns, so you know it's basically the same as a noun. So this is a pronoun form that you could think of as an alteration of the re enders, right? The ones that end in re, what comes after them? Wa, right? Kore, sore, are, and dore always get followed directly by a wa, and then you can put a noun over here, right? Okay, it can't connect directly to a noun. Why? Because it's lacking the no. So the wa becomes necessary, right? Here, you've got the no, it allows it to connect directly to a noun. It actually needs to connect directly to a noun in that case. Does that make sense? So that's how you can kind of tell the difference. That's what you can use to remember the difference. So you're asking, which book is it? Dono hon desu ka? And somebody says, oh, it's this book. That's the one you need. Kono hon desu. Right? Versus dore wa hon desu ka? That's like asking which one is a book. So it would be like, you know, maybe you haven't learned what the word book means yet. So you've got like a hon and a pen and a jisho and noto and enpitsu and kasa all laid out on the table, and you're asking your friend, "Dore wa hon desu ka?" Which one's hon? And your friend can say, "Kore wa hon desu." This one is book. These other things are not called hon, they're called other things, right? But that's a completely different question, isn't it? Oh, and just a side note, these three always take wa. Dore, because it's a question word, usually takes ga instead. Okay, so that's something that we don't really get into much in this chapter, so don't worry about it too much. But just notice that anytime it's a question word in the sentence, where the wa would have been in a statement, it gets replaced by ga in the question. That's not necessary in question words that are, in questions rather, that are not using a question word per se. They're yes-no questions, basically. Kono toke wa ikura desu ka? Wa is fine because this first part, kono toke, isn't using a question word, right? Kono toke wa ikura desu ka? You don't need it. But if ikura went in the beginning of a sentence, then it might take ga, but it normally doesn't, right? It usually comes after the wa. But words like dore that take the same position as kore sore are, it changes from wa to ga there. But like I said, that's not a big concern for now. If you use wa in this question, I'm not going to mark it down because it's not something we've studied yet. Okay? But if you hear ga getting used where you would have expected wa, don't be too shocked because they do swap places at times. Okay? So, any questions about how to form questions and answers with kore sore are, kono sono ano, koko soko asoko, doko? Yeah. Okay, let's do a quick run through of some vocab review. Are, which is that over there. Ikura, how much? Expensive. Right. Right. Right.
Umbrella. Here.
Here, right.
That
That over there, yeah.
meat.
Meat, right.
Vegetable.
Veggies, yeah.
This over here.
This thing,
This.
yeah, this thing close to me, yeah.
Fish.
Right.
Okay. Watch or clock.
Watch or clock, right.
Book.
Right.
Ginko.
Okay, everybody at least read it, okay? It's better practice for memorizing your vocabulary if you're actually saying it out loud. So, ginko is bank, right?
America.
Right.
Newspaper.
Right. Upside down. Jinzu. Jeans, right.
This one.
This one, okay. Right. Thanks.
Who?
Dare. Who. There we go.
Sasoko. Over there.
Right.
Korea.
Yeah. Yes. Economics. Keizai. Business. Obvious one, yes.
Sen. 1,000.
Right.
Kare. Curry.
Right. Right.
Do. Pen. This is the chair. Square. Desk.
Square. Desk.
Kaban.
Bag.
Soba.
soba,
buckwheat,
buckwheat noodles, yes. Cola, soda or cola, yeah. Salada, salad, yes. That, okay. Where, yeah. There.
Which one? Right?
Oh, no, which, yes, which one? That, yeah. Dore, this is also which one? Pork cutlet, yeah. Tonkatsu. Pencil.
Wallet.
Right, right. T-shirt, right.
Notebook.
Right. Mochi, hat.
Toilet.
Restroom, right.
England.
Yes.
History.
Restroom, yeah.
And
Right.
here you go.
There you go. Okay. Let's run through a few more. Okay. Bicycle, yeah.
20,000.
Height,
100,000.
yes, 100,000. 10 mon is 100,000. Jumon.
1 month is 10,000.
Yes.
A 2 month, 80,000.
Height.
60,000.
Height.
Your mom, 40,000.
Height.
Kisapen.
Kisapen.
Coffee shop.
Coffee shop, cafe.
Kishigomu. Eraser. Gum
Right.
eraser.
Yeah.
Wakarimashita ka? Did you understand?
Height.
Understood.
Understood.
I don't understand.
Right.
Please say it
Height. Say it
slow.
slowly, right. Yukuri ite kudasai. Please say it slowly. I want to hear everybody say this again. Right, which means,
Say it one more time.
please say it one more time. So let's all, everybody say this one again, loud. Okay, one more time. Hi, and one more time. Hi. I want you to have these down because you're going to need them, and you're going to need them on the tip of your tongue before the person keeps talking. So, you know, if they say something and you didn't catch it, you want to be able to say "もう一度言ってください" quickly. Otherwise, they might keep talking, and they might be on to the third paragraph before you get these words out if you don't have them down really well in your head. So practice these a lot.
ちょっと待ってください。
はい、ちょっ
ちょっと待ってください。
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 はい、which means
Please wait a minute.
please wait a minute. Okay.
聞いてください。
You'll hear me use this one a lot because it means
Please listen.
listen. So for example, on the written test when we do the listening part, 皆さん聞いてください. That's everyone, please listen.
10ページを見てください。
はい、10ページを見てください. Which would be,
Look at
Start at page 10.
yeah, please look at page 10. What if I said 21ページを見てください?
Look at page 21.
There you go. 150ページを見てください.
Look at page 150.
はい. Okay, so you'll be prepared for any number I want to say, right? As this book only goes into the hundreds. You don't have to worry about sen and man with the page numbers. So,
Denki. Lights.
yes, denki, electric lights, or electricity. Cotton. Curtains, yes, cotton. Dictionary. Did we have that one already?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to pull out the is,
pencil. We had one together.
that, we had that one already too? Okay.
Home.
You had that one too, book? Okay.
Teishoku.
Teishoku is?
Set meal.
Set meal, yes. Spaghetti. Spaghetti, that's a small soup, so spaghetti.
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 Udon.
Udon, the soft wheat noodles, yeah. Yeah, the thicker, squishy ones. Sandwich. Sandwich. Hey. アイスクリーム。はい。Ramen. Everybody knows what that is, right? How many people have had ramen before? Anybody had udon before? Okay. Soba? Okay. Hi. Hamburger is hamburger. Okay. Kohi. Coffee.紅茶. Black tea. Right. And stuck together. Juice is juice. And by the way, in Japan, they still call it juice, even if it's only like 30% juice or something. But they do usually have it right there on the label. If you're buying from a vending machine, usually it'll say right there in fairly large print what percentage juice it actually is. So if you really want 100% juice, you gotta look for that, because a lot of them are more like high C, tang kinds of things. They're juice drinks. They're not real juice. Hi. Good. Which again, you might see this on the same label and then the kanji on another part of the same label for miruku.
Classroom.
Right. And a lot of times milk cartons in Japan have like a little picture of a cartoony cow or something too, so it helps you figure it out if it's only got the kanji. Right. Senman is 1,000,000, right? No, 10 million, you're right, 10 million. Yeah, because hyakuman would be 1,000,000, right?
Yeah.
So, because man is 10,000, juman is 100,000, so hyakuman is 1,000,000, senman is 10 million. Okay, so if you're buying a house in Japan, you're going to need your senman terminology. So,
That's
hyakuman, this is 1,000,000. And don't forget that the exchange rate fluctuates, but it's, I think it's around, I think sen-en these days is around $13 or $15, somewhere around there. So it gives you some idea. It used to be really easy math, but very expensive to go to Japan, because it used to be hyaku-en was $1. So you could just lop off 2 zeros at the end and you could have an estimate of the price in dollars. Now it's actually a little bit better for us. The dollar is stronger against the yen right now, so it's more confusing to do the math, but stuff in Japan is a little cheaper for us right now. 90,000. Yeah, please do me the favor of blank. So, onegaishimasu sometimes is still used with just please give me that object, but it can also be like, please do me this favor.
Welcome to our store.
Yes.
Otomo-san.
Right.
Okasa-san.
Right.
Computer.
Right.
China.
Right.
Post office.
Right. Library and
Menu.
right. Okay. Any questions about vocab?
Don't like the kudasai, is that just for like, please wait, you know, when somebody's leaving? Or could you say, like, when you're saying, wait a minute, don't talk so fast, can you please put them on the kudasai?
It's possible, but I think yukuri itte kudasai is gonna be more effective in that case. People might not know what you're asking them to wait for,
Yeah.
if
Okay.
they're just talking, you know. So, okay, I'm gonna put some of these aside as unnecessary for now. Okay, okay, so we're starting today from 75 page. Textbook. We're gonna do this role play where one person is asking, これは誰の item ですか? For example, これは誰の傘ですか? And the second person is looking at 82ページ. And we can see that that umbrella with the pattern on it is Mary's, right? So, Mary-san no kasa desu. So we're asking and answering those questions, right? So, let's see. Let's start from Will today. So, Will-san.
Start with the example.
No, let's start from number 1, because we covered the example. So, we're asking whose shoes those are for Ichiban, right? And Mark's going to answer you.
これは誰の靴ですか? スーさんの靴です。
はい、そうですね。Okay、じゃあ2番お願いします。
それは靴の誰ですか?
Say again. You follow the structure that's in the example. So, これは
これは誰の靴ですか?
There you go. Eddie-san?
メリーさんの靴です。
はい、そうですね。Okay、じゃあ3番どうぞ。
これは誰の本ですか?
はい。
山下先生の本です。
はい、山下先生の本ですね。じゃあ4番どうぞ。
これは誰のカバンですか?
カバンはロバートさんのカバンです。
はい。ロバートさんのカバンですね。はい、じゃあ5番どうぞ。
これは誰の自転車ですか?
はい。ふみさん。誰の自転車ですか?
高橋さんの自転車
自転車。
です。
はい、そうですね。じゃあ6番どうぞ。 これは誰の帽子ですか？
たけしさんの帽子です。
はい、そうですね。Okay, real quick pronunciation issue. When you said kore, it almost sounded like kare. Kare means he. Kore means this. So since the boshi isn't male, it's not a person that we know of, so we gotta just be careful of your pronunciation. Kore wa dare no boshi desu ka? Takeshi-san no boshi desu ne. じゃあ、Marianne-san, you're gonna ask Will about 7番。
これは誰のカバンですか？
スーさんのカバンです。
はい、スーさんのカバンですね。じゃあ、8番どうぞ。
これは誰のカバンですか？
エリさんのカバンです。
はい、そうですね。じゃあ、9番どうぞ。
これは誰の帽子ですか？
スーさんの帽子です。
はい、そうですね。じゃあ、10番どうぞ。
これは T シャツ。あ、これは誰の T シャツですか？
はい。
ロバートさんの T シャツです。
はい、ロバートさんの T シャツですね。はい、いいですか？はい。じゃあ、姫野さん、let's look at the next section, and you and Ryan are going to read the example for us.
お父様は日本人です。
Oh, actually, it's only one person's example, so go ahead and finish it.
お母さんも日本人です。
Hi. So, does everybody see what they just did? Well, yeah, they replaced wa with mo. Okay? So, お父さんは日本人です。お母さんも日本人です。So the first sentence uses wa to say so-and-so is, for example, a Japanese person, and then this other person is also a Japanese person. Mo replaces wa for the second sentence when you want it to say also. Make sense? So one person is this other person is also this. Right? いいですか？じゃあ、ライアンさん、1番お願いします。Right.
メイルさんは1年あ2年生、カオルさんの
Wait. メアリさんは2年生
です。
です。はい。
カオルさんも2年生です。
はい、そうですね。じゃあ、2番、どうぞ。You're speaking from her perspective, the person in the picture.
Okay.
Okay, so she's got one bag on her arm and the other bag's way over there. So,
これは
このカバンは、
このカバンは、
いや、
このカバンは5800円です。
はい。Not sono, but far from all of us, so あのカバン。
あのカバンも5800円です。
はい、そうですね。じゃあ3番、マリアンさん。
たけしさんは22歳です。
はい。
ロバートさ さんも
はい。
22歳です。
はい、そうですね。いいですね。じゃあ、ブルさん、4番お願いします。
Okay, well, if I just say it's a certain time in the city, am I describing the clock?
Yeah, just 東京は今 what's the time? The time that they gave you. Yeah.
Tokyo wa nara
7
shichi
時 7時
です。
はい。
セオ
ソウル
ソウルも7時です。
はい。東京は and you could put 今 if you want to 東京は今7時です。ソウルも7時です。はい。Okay, and Seoul usually is Seoul is rendered like that in Japanese. Seoul. Okay. I don't know of any kanji for that one. There may actually be kanji for that city name, but they usually render it in katakana like that. Seoul. Okay. じゃあ5番、マークさん。
このは野菜です。もう野菜
No, not ono, but
あれ
あれ there. これは野菜です。あれ
は
も
もう
野菜です。いいですか? Does everybody understand why it has to be これ and あれ?
Because they're not the same. Because he's away from the other vegetable. and
That's
this one is-
that. And why is it not kono and ano?
He's not saying like this vegetable.
Right, he's not saying this vegetable, he's just saying this, right? So, これは野菜です。あれも野菜です。Right? If you wanted to work the names of those vegetables in, you could use kono and ano. But we haven't studied the names of those vegetables in Japanese, so you may not know them. Right? Okay, じゃあ6番どうぞ、皆さん。
ラブトさんはロンドン大学の学生です。
はい、ロンドン大学の学生です。はい。
ナンシーさんは
ナンシーさん
も
も
ロ
ロンドン
大学の学生です。
はい。Yeah, they spell London like this. Oh, sorry. ロンドン大学。No, it's not what you're expecting. You're expecting to pronounce it like English, but that's not how they say it in Japanese. ロンドン大学の学生です。はい。じゃあ、皆さん、いいですか? So does everybody get the point of how to use mo correctly in a sentence? Okay. And you do need to have, for now at least, you need to have that first sentence that's regular with wa, and the second sentence replaces wa with mo. If you don't have that comparison happening, then just coming out of left field with mo sounds weird. Okay, so you need to have that pair where the two have something in common like that. Okay? Let's look at the next one. Mary-san wa nihonjin janai desu. What's that janai desu mean? Is not, right? So, Mary-san wa nihonjin janai desu. Right? Everybody knows that, right? Okay, so Okay, Himeno-san to Ryan-san, let's use the example. お願いします。
メアリーさんは日本人ですか？
いいえ、日本人じゃないです。アメリカ人です。
はい。So that's the pattern we want to follow here. You're going to say the negative answer to the question and then give the correct information after it. Okay? So, Ryan-san, 一番を聞いてください。君さん、答えてください。いいですか？
You say listen?
一番。Oh, I said ask the question. 聞いて unfortunately has two meanings in Japanese. One is ask and the other is listen. So when I say 質問を聞いてください, that actually means ask the question.
Okay.
はい、どうぞ。
たけしさんは中国人ですか？
はい。
I think
So
it's
what's
on- I think it's on the
中国人?
page- It's on the page next to it. Or he is.
Yeah, well, 中国人 means what?
Chinese.
Chinese, right? Is Takeshi Chinese? No, that's clearly a Japanese name, right?
Ian, 중국인じゃないです。日本人です。
はい、いいですね。じゃあ、キミさん、2番お願いします。
ロバートさんはアメリカ人ですか？
マリアさん。
いいえ、アメリカ人じゃないです。イギリス人です。
はい、そうですね。はい、じゃあ3番、ブルさんに聞いてください。
山下先
But
生。
no, she's going to ask you and then you're going to answer. Sorry.
山下先生は韓国人ですか？
いいえ、韓国人じゃないです。日本人です。
はい、いいですね。じゃあ4番お願いします。
ロバートさんの専攻は日本語ですか？
いえ、ビジネス。
ビジネス。
ビジネスです。
はい。But what about the negative part? So, ロバートさんの専攻は日本語ですか？いいえ。
専攻、日本語じゃないです。
Okay, or you could say just 日本語じゃないです or 専攻は日本語じゃないです. You can't leave out the wa if you're putting the 専攻 in. Okay? Anytime you've got a particle, you have to keep the piece that went with the particle with it. You can either put the whole unit in or leave the whole unit out, but you can't do a particle as a standalone. Okay? So, 専攻は日本語じゃないです。ビジネスです。Right? いいですか？じゃあ5番お願いします。
スーさんの専攻は経済ですか？
専攻は経済じゃないです。コンピューターです。
はい、そうですね。じゃあ6番どうぞ。
たけしさんは桜大学の学生ですか？
はい。
そうです。
はい、そうです。Trick question. Yeah, most of them are negative, but they throw a positive one in there just to trick you.
Okay.
はい。
メアリーさんはロンドン大学の学生ですか？
いいえ、ロンドン大学の学生じゃないです。アリゾナ大学生です。
アリゾナ大学
の学生です。
学生です。はい。
さんは1年生ですか？
いいえ、3年生。
Oh, do the negative first. いいえ。
いいえ、1年生じゃないです。
はい、there you go. And then,
3年生です。
はい、よくできました。はい、じゃあ10番お願いします。
ロバートさんは4年生ですか？
はい、そうです。
はい、そうですね。One more trick question in there. Okay. 質問がありますか？ Any questions? Yes? No? Maybe? Good? Okay. では、パート B 見ましょう。So, we're going to use this little dialogue as our sample now. So, let's see. Buddha-san, part A, and Mako-san, B. Please do the whole little mini dialogue there for the example.
これはメリーさんの財布ですか？
いいえ、メリーさんの財布じゃないです。
リーさんの財布ですか？
リーさんの財布です。
Right. Okay, so this is sort of a guessing game. So if you're the one asking the question, you're not supposed to be looking at that other picture. Only the person answering the question should look at the other picture because you're supposed to just guess whose item this might be and ask as many times as it takes to get a yes answer. Okay?
We should at least write down the females' names on this page so we know who we're asking about.
Right. Good point. So the three people you're asking about are Mary-san, Lee-san, and Yoko-san. So I'll write those up on the board so you can have that as a reference point at least. So it was Mary-san, right? Lee-san, and Yoko-san. Right? Mary-san, Lee-san, Yoko-san. Lee, of course, is Lee, which could be a Western name or a Chinese name. We don't know which. Okay. So, let's see. So it's Mark's turn to ask, right? And Ellie's turn to answer.
これはリーさんの傘ですか？
And so,
リーさんの傘です。
本当ですか? Look at it again. Doing Ichiban, right? The flower casa. I don't know.
いえ、リーさんの傘じゃないです。
いや、メリーさんの傘ですか？
いえ、メリーさんの傘じゃないです。
So you've got one more choice.
ヨコさんの傘ですか？
ヨコさんの傘です。
Hi, so see, this is practice for actual conversations, right? Because it would be easy to just cheat and figure out so you can ask fewer questions. But what about in real life when you need to ask people multiple questions? So that's why this is good practice, right? Because we're building up to real life. Right, but in real life you might have more complicated questions you want to ask, right? And you might need to ask multiple questions about multiple things. So this is practicing, right? Because, yes, in real life you're probably not going to have to ask the same person 3 different people before they finally tell you whose umbrella it is. but on purpose because they're your little brother or something. But the reality is that if you don't practice these kinds of questions multiple times, then you're not building up the mental muscles you need to be able to ask more complicated questions when we learn more complicated stuff. So we need to practice. Okay, じゃあ2番、のりさんお願いします。
これはリーさんのペンですか？いいえ、リーさんのペンじゃないです。これはメリーさんのペンですか？ええ、メリーさんのペンです。
はい、そうですね。じゃあ3番どうぞ。
これはメリーさんの時計ですか？
ええ、メリーさんの時計です。
はい。はい、good guess。じゃあ4番どうぞ。
ようこさんの財布ですか？これはようこさんの財布ですか
It's your turn to ask.
いえ、よこさんの財布じゃないです。
これはリーさんの財布ですか？
いえ、リーさんの財布じゃないです。
じゃあこれはメリーさんの財布です。そうだし。
リーさん、メリーさんの財布です。
はい、メリーさんの財布ですね。See, well, you're giving yourself and your partner extra practice by asking more questions. So that's a good thing, right? じゃあどうぞ。5番ですね。
これはメリーさん、傘ですか？
メリーさん。
の傘ですか？
いいえ、メリーさんの傘じゃないです。
リーさんの傘ですか？
はい、リーさんの傘です。
はい、そうですね。じゃあどうぞ6番。
これはよこさんの時計ですか？
ええ、よこさんの時計です。
はい、そうですね。じゃあ7番どうぞ。
これはメリーさんのノートですか？
いえ、メリーさんのノートじゃないです。
これはリーさんのノートですか？
リーさんのノートです。
はい、そうですね。Okay, how are we doing on time? Pretty good. Okay, so you guys already did your sign up for the OPI. I have a thought that what I might want to use for your OPI for this chapter is exercises based on these matome no renshuu. I think these would make really good oral proficiency interview opportunities. Role playing, somebody is a student, somebody is the sorry, did I say student? Somebody's the store attendant, somebody is the customer, and you're shopping for something or other. Role playing, one person's the waitress, the other person is the person in the restaurant ordering food.
Are we doing both?
What I will probably do is I'll probably have stuff prepared for both, and you'll get to pick one and start with that and see if that fills up the whole time or not. And if you can't keep it going for the whole time, if you run out of things to say, run out of things to order, then we would switch and have the second role play for the second person. Okay, so, and I would probably, yeah, so I'd probably have both of those options there, and it would be kind of just, you know, which one do you want to start with? If it's your turn, just, let's say it's you and Jimena, for example, and you're going first. So you get to choose which role you want, the store clerk or the customer, and she plays the other role, and you guys do a conversation, and then when your 5 minutes are up, if you've done that conversation for the whole 5 minutes, then Jimena would get to choose for the second 5 minutes whether she wanted to be the waitress or the customer in the restaurant. So I think that'll be a good, and then if we still need more content, if we're running out of things to talk about still and we need to fill in a little bit more time, we could do some pictures where you ask about the people in the picture and the other person could make up random information about them, or you guys could bring your own pictures and let the other person ask about, say, family or friends of yours, and you could tell things like their names, their ages, if they're students, what year in school they are, what they're studying, if they're not students, what kind of work they do, if it's a word we've learned, you know. So we could play around with that possibility. My level 2 class is doing a more advanced version of that for their OPI. They're actually going to, be bringing in photos of family and or friends and have to tell about a lot more detail, like not just ages and occupations and stuff, but like what they're wearing and other descriptions of them, because they're learning a whole bunch of adjectives and things. So they're going to be able to say so-and-so is kind and smart, and so-and-so is not very smart but funny, and you know, so-and-so is tall and has long hair, you know, because they're learning how to say all that kind of stuff. So, but what do you guys think about that for an OPI? Yeah, so I've actually got a game that I forgot to bring with me today where we can actually play an activity that would be a little bit of a rehearsal for that OPI, because it's got shopping components to it. You remember that game, right? So I'm going to suggest let's spend a little bit of time on the stuff in the last part of the chapter, the katakana content, and then we can come back to the role plays, because I want you guys to have some time to kind of think through what you want to say for that stuff. So let's look at 294 page. Okay. So that first exercise is really, really, really easy, right? Okay. 294ページです。294ページ。294ページを見てください。はい、294。いいですか294 page. Okay, so I want to do this a little bit different for oral practice, because picking which one's which is too easy for reading out loud. So let's just read them both. Just read what's actually there. Okay? whose turn was it?
はい
Mine? Oh, okay. Ichi, どうぞ。
おあ
はい。2番、君さん。
She and Sue.
No, we're doing me, not yours.
Oh my gosh, I was going across.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. New and Matt.
はい。じゃあ3番、ナヤさん。
てんさ。
はい。じゃあ4番、ふよさん。
She and Sue.
はい。どうぞ、マークさん。
Is that who and who?
Say again?
Who and who?
Not who. What's that first one?
Wa.
Wa. And
Who.
who. はい。じゃあエリさん。
Maru.
はい。
Redu.
でる。はい。
he
Not he.
あも
Mo and はい。もほ。はい。君さん。
E and you.
Not e, but
Eh.
there you go. And you. はい。いいですか? Okay, now let's read out loud these words and just say what they mean. We don't have to worry about the matching to the pictures for this exercise. So, 1番, Marian-san, it's your turn.
オレンジ hold on.
Orange.
オレンジ
はい。
ジュース
はい。Orange juice, which is?
orange juice.
はい。It's obvious once you sound it out, right? A lot of these are obvious once you sound them out, but if you're having a hard time sounding them out, you can get really stuck, right? じゃあ、ウェルさん、2番お願いします。
Fried potato.
はい。
Fried potato.
はい。As in French fries. はい。That's what, yeah, they call them fried potato in Japan usually, rather than French fries. はい。じゃあ、3番、you got the easy one, Mark.
Cake.
ケーキ。はい。はい。4番、お姉さん。
Salada.
はい。サラダ。
Salad.
サラダ。はい。じゃあ、5番、姫野さん。
Chocolate parfait.
はい。
Chocolate parfait.
Yeah, chocolate parfait. Yeah. はい。ライアンさん。
コーヒ
はい。That's easy, right?
ー
Coffee. はい。じゃあ、7番、君さん。 サンド。 サンドイッチ。 サンドイッチ。So, sandwich. はい。じゃあ、8番、マリアンさん。
ステーキ
ステーキ。Give it the longer vowel. And ステーキ。Can you guess?
ステーキ
はい。ウェルさん、9番。
Spaghetti.
はい。10番、マークさん。
Oh, pizza.
ピザ。Yeah, pizza. はい、ピザ。Okay, 11番。はい、トースト。トースト。はい。キメナさん。
Lemon tea.
はい。
Lemonade or lemon tea?
Lemon tea, yeah. Lemon tea. That's like iced tea with lemon in it. Yeah. So they call it lemon tea. So if you're ordering that in a restaurant, now you know what you're getting. Okay. So here, let's see if we can just, to start with, let's just read the country and see if you can figure out what the country is first and then try to match it. So, Ryan-san, 1番.
マレーシア
Hi, Malaysia. So, Malaysia. Do you know the capital of Malaysia?
ごめんなさい
Who knows the capital of Malaysia? I know, because I've been there, but.
That's not Jakarta, right?
No, that's
That's
Indonesia.
Indonesia. Okay.
Good guess. The same region, speak the same
Yeah.
language. So, let's see, it is yeah, it's the fifth one down on the capital cities list. Who can try to read it? Kuala Lumpur. Lumpur. Yeah. Yeah. Kuala Lumpur. Can you tell what that is supposed to be? Kuala Lumpur. Yeah. I think for that one, they were probably getting closer to the Malaysian pronunciation of that city name rather than the English pronunciation. Okay, so Kimi-san, can you read Niban for the countries? Hi, Oranda. Can you guess what country that is? Let her try first.
Oh, I was just stretching.
Oh, okay.
I figured it out at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll give you a hint. It's in Europe. Hold on. It would help if they used an H sound, but they don't.
Oh,
Okay.
but they
so
changed the name.
I thought it was. Don't they have a whole? I'm sorry.
Yeah. If it were Holanda, it would sound closer to the English, but they just say Holanda. Holland, the Netherlands.
That's what they call it,
Yeah.
but it's different. Because in Spanish it is Oranda.
Oh, okay.
Holanda, but now here they call it Netherlands, which is
Yeah.
different. So.
Yeah. Well, they sometimes still call it Holland,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's the official name in English.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Holanda is Holland, the Netherlands. Okay. Anyone know the capital city?
I do.
Okay.
The only two I do.
Okay. Sure. Go ahead and read it out for us.
Amsterdam.
Hi, Amsterdam.
Oh.
Amsterdam, right? Amsterdam. Yeah. Amsterdam. Yeah, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Okay. じゃあ3番、マリアンさん, you got an easy
I
one.
got the easy one. America,
Okay, so go ahead and do the capital too.
Washington, D.C.
Hi.
It helps with
Easiest
the
one of the whole
DC.
set. Yeah, the DC makes it so obvious, right? Washington, D.C.
DC.
The DC part can be spelled out in katakana too, DC. But most Japanese people do at least know the English alphabet, even if they can't speak English. So they sometimes do leave just acronyms and abbreviations like that in the letters, in the capital letters. And when it's just initials and stuff like that. Okay, じゃあウルさん4番。
エジプト。
はい、エジプト。Any idea? Egypt, yes. Okay, and the capital would be, any idea? Not a lot of geography experts in this room, huh? Cairo, yeah. So it's Cairo. It's the easiest one to read in the list, probably, Cairo, right? Okay. Okay, well, Mark got easy ones last round, so now everybody's getting their revenge.
Australia.
Hi. Can you guess?
Oh, Australia.
Hi, Australia, Australia, Australia. So, and the capital would be?
It's Sydney.
Hmm?
What is it?
It's the third from the bottom.
キャンビ
ベ
カ
ベ
ベル
ベラキャンベラキャンベラ
キャンベラ
yeah
I
Canberra
thought it was Sydney.
Canberra hmm?
I thought it was Sydney.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's Sydney.
But there's no Sydney.
Sydney's the more famous city, but that happens a lot. Like Washington D.C. is not the largest city in the U.S. either.
No.
You know, a lot of countries, their biggest, most famous city is not the capital.
Yeah. I don't know where I thought it was Sydney.
Yeah, Canberra. Okay. じゃあ、エリさん
Sweden.
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 But it is Sweden in English, yes. Sweden in Japanese. So, and the capital for that one would be? Hi.
Stockholm.
Yeah, so Stockholm. Stockholm. Hi, Holm. Stockholm. Okay, じゃあ次、
Indo.
Indo, which is?
Yeah.
India, はい。はい、インド。
And then it's New Delhi.
はい、ニューデリー。はい。じゃあ、ライアンさん。アル、
アルゼンチン。
はい、アルゼンチン。Can you guess? It's kind of a weird choice why they put Z in there instead of Ge or yeah or Jet. Yeah, Jet would have made more sense, right? Argentine.
Oh,
Yes, it's Argentina. Yeah.
They don't use
I said it wrong.
Yeah.
Argentine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Argentine.
Yeah. So Argentine. So it's a weird one. Why they spell it with a Z, I'll never know. Argentine. My best guess actually for that one would be that they didn't get the name from Spanish. They probably got it from some other language, perhaps German,
Probably.
because Japan and Germany had close ties a few decades back, and not so much with Latin America.
Could be. It doesn't sound like English either, so.
Yeah, so Argentine. And the capital of that country would be?
I want to say, is it
Buenos.
Buenos? Yeah,
And then,
Buenos Aires.
はい、Buenos Aires. はい、Buenos Aires. That's actually fairly close to the Spanish
is.
pronunciation.
Buenos Aires. Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, very close. About as close as Japanese can get. Yeah. Isn't it funny though how some words they're really close to the actual pronunciation in that language, and other words they're really way off. So, Kimi-san, 次.
Canada
Hi, Canada. That's an obvious one, yes.
and Ottawa.
Ottawa is the capital. Ottawa.
Isn't that Ontario? Isn't
No,
that
Ontario is a province of Canada, so like Florida is a state,
Oh.
and then Ottawa is the capital. Toronto is a bigger city.
Yeah,
Yeah, Toronto is what everybody thinks.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. No.
Okay, so once again, for the word search piece, obviously I do want you to do the word search for homework, but for now we're just going to read them for reading practice. So Marianne-san, go ahead and read the example for us, Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Mu. Hi, Vietnam. That's an interesting interpretation, isn't it? Okay, じゃあ次、Ueda-san. はい、シンガポール。はい、じゃあマークさん。
チェコ
はい、チェコ。はい、you got an easy one again, Ellie. はい、okay.
スウェーデン。
はい、
エクアドル。
はい、
メキシコ。
はい、
ブラジル。
はい、ブラジル。はい
G, sorry, G, ブラジル。
ブラジル。はい。
ブラジル。
はい。
スパイン、
スペイン。That's a pet. So スペイン。はい。
オランダ、
オランダ。はい。オランダ。はい。
インドネシア、
インドネシア。はい。インドネシア。
カナダ、
はい。
ルワンダ。
はい。ルワンダ。That's an interesting one, huh? はい。
タイ。
はい。
Oh, it's
Oh,
me?
yeah, it's
Oh,
yours. The
sorry.
last one is yours.
Australia.
はい。オーストラリア。
Australia.
Okay. Some of those are mouthful. Okay. So let's look at these little word scrambles. And so they did the example for you. Ki, ke, and the hyphen changes to keiki, right? So turn that one around, Will, for ichiban, and it turns into noto, right? Niban, pen. Yeah, that was so obvious, I don't know why they bothered.
Where did we go to?
The next page, we're doing the little word scrambles at the top, so we just fixed tono to be noto, and npe to be pen. Okay, and then, Ellie-san is gonna do sanban.
menu,
Hi, menu. So, what they had mume, but it's menu. Okay. Hi,
ジーズ、
jeans.
ジ
Hi,
ーンズ、
hi.
ジーズ、
Jeans. It's jeans. Yeah.
Jeans.
So you just put the after the hyphen instead of at the front.
True.
Jeans.
ジーンズ、
Okay. Okay, and then name tags, they're just demonstrating the two ways that you could write your name. You can do first name dot for the space, last name horizontally or vertically. Okay. So, and there's a little footnote about how names are normally done in katakana in its native order in Japanese these days. Okay. So, and with Japanese people, you'll probably want to also be prepared to tell them which name you actually want to be called by. Especially if you don't want to be called a certain way, you want to make sure they call you the way you want to be called, you'll have to tell them, because they won't be able to guess. So for example, if you prefer to go by your first name, not your surname, you'll have to say, you know, please call me by my first name. Otherwise, surname plus san is kind of the default setting for Japanese people when they meet somebody new. Okay, so let's see, we've got time to do the reading practice here. So, let's see, Jinzu, that was, so Ryan-san. So ichiban, let's read it, those three sentences, and then we'll figure out which item she's talking about.
これは私の帽子じゃないです。木橋さんの帽子です。ニューヨークヤンキヤンキースの帽子です。
はい。
New York. Okay, so this is not my hat. What's it?
Kashi-sanの帽子。
Kashi.
Kashi.
Kashi's hat.
Yeah.
It's
Kathy. Kashi is a rendering for Kathy.
Okay, Miss Kathy's hat. This is Miss Kathy's hat.
Yeah.
New York Yankees. It's a New York Yankees hat.
はい。そうですね。So now you know which picture from the bottom it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, じゃあ、ひみさん、2番お願いします。これ、これ。
は私の自
自転車。
転車です。おすと
オーストラリア。
の
自
転車です。高いです。
はい。So, which do you think it is, E or F? どう思いますか？これは私の自転車です。オーストラリアの自転車です。高いです。So, whose bike is it?
I'm reading.
The person reading, well, Mary's, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Where is it from?
Australia.
Okay. And is it cheap or expensive?
Expensive.
Yeah. So, of those two bikes, which do you think?
The one without the basket.
Yeah, E probably, right? The expensive one.
I'm about to say, like, how are we supposed to know it's an Australian bike?
Right. Well,
I didn't.
yeah, that isn't so obvious, but the 8,000 yen bike is a more typical configuration for a lot of young women in Japan. It's got the little pad on the back that lets you strap stuff to it. It's not an actual basket, but there usually comes with like bungee cords, and you can like pile your books on there and then put bungee cords around them to keep them in place. And a lot of young people in Japan have bikes like that with a basket in front to put some stuff and a little pad on the back that takes the bungee cords to store more stuff, and they ride to school with their books on the back like that, and you know, their purse or their lunchbox or their water bottle or whatever in the basket. And a lot of people also, like, if they're going grocery shopping, they have a bag like that where they put some of their stuff in the basket and on the back thing, and then they put the rest of the bags on the handlebars and kind of balance it all to go home. And the other one looks like more of a serious biker's bike. You know, like you're going for a serious long bike rides for exercise or whatever, not just tootling around town doing the grocery shopping. So I guess that's how you're supposed to know. So, 3番、マリアンさん。
これはミシェル
はい、ミシェル。
ミシェルさんの辞書です。
はい。
スペイン語の辞書じゃないです。フランス語の辞書です。
はい。
A?
はい、いいですね。Make it nice and clear for you on that one. じゃあ、ウルさん4番。
これはジャクソンさん靴です。
ジャクソンさんの靴です。Yeah.
靴です。イタリアの靴じゃないです。アメリカの靴です。
はい。G, yes. はい、いいですね。
So he was saying that they're not Italian shoes?
They're not Italian shoes, right? They're American shoes. And they belong to somebody named Jackson-san, which,
Wouldn't wear high heels.
well, we don't know. It could be a surname, it could be a first name, we can't tell. San can be a suffix for any name, right? So you can't tell from that whether it's Miss Jackson or Mr. Jackson or a guy whose first name is Jackson, because that's a first name too these days. But when this book was written, it wasn't that common as a first name, it was a surname.
And Nike's an American brand too, so.
Yeah, Nike is an American brand, so that gives it away, right? And the high heels look more like they could be an Italian brand.
That's good.
Okay. So for the writing practice, you guys can do that for homework. Use those kinds of examples to help you, and you can come up with some sentences about something of yours or something of your friends for, you know, for your writing practice activity there. Okay. So any questions about katakana or about the writing system in general, or? Okay. So that was good practice, right? Having to read all that katakana. It's a lot of katakana to deal with, right? So let's look at the picture on 80 page. Let's play around with this exercise a little bit. Okay. So 80 page. So we're back to the other part of the chapter. Okay, and Mark-san to Eddie-san, can you guys do A and B of the sample dialogue? Example.
いかつはいくらですか
You're on a different page.
Wait a second.
Yeah, A, top of the page, sorry. C, top of the page.
これは誰ですか
メリーさんで
イギリス人ですか
す。いいえ、イギリス人じゃないです。アメリカン人です。エリゾナ大学の学生です。
そうですか
Hi. So you see the picture? Who are the other characters in the picture here? We've got Takeshi-san, Sue-san, Yamashita sensei, and 4番 is who's Okada-san? Mary-san no host family no Okada-san, right? So using whatever you know from this chapter, from this book about those people, or making stuff up if you want, that's okay too. Let's have some people do these dialogues about some individuals. Okay, so Ichiban is going to be about Takeshi, right? So Eri-san to Himena-san, you're going to try that one.
これは誰ですか？たけしさんです。日本語ですか？日本人ですか？はい、そうです。桜大学の学生です。4年生です。そうですか。
はい、いいですね。じゃあ、Himena-さんとライアンさん、2番。
これは誰ですか？
スーさんです。
中国人ですか？
いいえ、韓国人です。
はい。
中国人じゃないです。韓国人です。
はい。ソウル大学 maybe?
ソウル大学の学生です。
そうですか。
はい、いいですね。じゃあ、ライアンさんとヒミさん。3番ですね。 한국인.
한국인 준아이 데스.
한국인.
한국인
General.
준아이 데스. 니혼긴 데스. Sakura Daigaku no sensei desu.
そうですか。
はい、いいですね。じゃあ、ふみさんとマリアンさん、4番。
これはどれですか？
That's a hard one. Okasan desu. Or how do I say host family?
Yeah, you can say host family の
Host
ホスト
host
ファミリーの
host family no okasan
です。
desu.
Yeah, or you could say メアリーさんのホストファミリーのお母さんです。I know that's long.
Yeah.
はい。
host Mary さんのホストファミリーのお母さんです。
日本人ですか？
もう一度言ってください。
日本人ですか？
はい、日本人です。
はい、そうですね。We don't know that much else about
Yeah,
her,
we
so.
don't know much else about her.
はい、大丈夫です。Okay, いいですか？ So you can finish with
そうですか。
そうですか。Yeah. So そうですか. Does everybody know what they mean by that?
Is that so?
Yeah, it's like, oh, really? Oh, is that so? You know, so in this case, you're just like, oh, really? You know, somebody gave you some new facts. Oh, that's interesting. You know, it's just a very simple answer. If somebody tells you something that you find really incredible or hard to believe, you can say the same phrase but with different intonation to indicate that you're amazed by this. そうですか? You know, sounds much more like, wow, you know, whereas そうですか? It's just, oh, really? Yeah. いいですか?
But it works like a suspicious tone of voice, like you don't believe them? Is
Yeah.
that so?
You can do that too, that is possible. Yeah, そうですか? You know? Yeah.
If I had wanted to say, Okasan is she's a housewife.
Yeah.
How would I?
主婦です.
主婦です.
はい、主婦です. Okay. Okay. And if you wanted to put an age on her, you could take a random stab at how old you think she might be. You know. はい。45歳です. Something like that. Okay. Okay, so let's see, we've got 5 minutes left. How about if I let you guys pair off and just start to practice doing one or the other of the role plays with a partner. Okay, just we've got an odd number of people, so we're going to have one group of 3 and a couple groups of 2.
Actually, I need to catch a bus.
Oh,
So-
you need to leave?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I guess
Okay,
that should
so-
be even, right?
Okay, then everybody's even, so. Okay, so Ryan and me. Okay.
On the page.
78ページと79ページ. So practice the role play. You can either be a store attendant and a customer, or a restaurant, like waiter and customer. We can practice a little bit of each for the few minutes we have left.
No, these